William Trevor Lawrence, the prince that was promised, he just got paid a huge bag, and the Jaguars now have their franchise quarterback lined up for the next 7 years. Trevor Lawrence is now going to be under contract until 2031, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have solidified that they have found their guy, they have their franchise quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be the most important positional player the Jaguars have ever drafted in their franchise's history, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest Jaguars of all times when it is said and done. I am so grateful that both Trevor Lawrence's camp and the Jaguars front office were able to get this deal done as soon as possible. You don't wait until the market continues to go up. You don't wait until Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love, and these other quarterbacks get paid, and then you're going to have to continue to reset the market. Trevor Lawrence got a 5-year, $275 million contract, $200 million of it in guaranteed money, and $142 million of it in a signing bonus. This deal was worth every single penny that Trevor Lawrence got, and this value, the price that you got him at right now, is going to look significantly better than it would 2 years down the road, and that's what we're going to be talking about here today. Trevor Lawrence became the 4th highest paid quarterback in NFL history in terms of guaranteed money at $200 million. Only Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert have more guaranteed money in their contract over Trevor Lawrence. And now, on an annual, season-by-season basis, Trevor Lawrence is going to be averaging $55 million a year, which would tie him with Joe Burrow, who was obviously the former #1 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft class and took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl just a couple of seasons ago. But let's go ahead and talk about Trevor Lawrence getting his bag, because like I discussed earlier, he's going to be locked up for the next 7 years until 2031, because the Jaguars not only have the last year of his rookie contract, the 5th-year option that they picked up, which is, I believe, is going to be about $23 million. Then the extension kicks in the 2026 season on that 5-year deal. So you have 7 more years of control with him. You can renegotiate and restructure these contracts, continue to fortify the trenches, continue to build pieces around him, and this value is going to look significantly better. At this very moment in time, Trevor Lawrence might be the #1 highest paid quarterback in the NFL alongside Joe Burrow. When the season rolls around, maybe Jordan Love, maybe Dak Prescott, maybe Tua Tagovailoa, maybe these quarterbacks get even bigger money, and then they're going to be resetting the market, and Trevor Lawrence's number is going to look significantly better because it's going to keep getting pushed down. This deal was worth every single penny, and I cannot overemphasize that enough. Now, before I start talking about all of the good that Trevor Lawrence has done, the 3 seasons he's been in the NFL, and now he's really given this Jacksonville Jaguars organization and this community hope that the Jaguars have found and solidified the quarterback position really for the first time in their franchise's history, excluding Mark Brunell. The Jaguars now have to continue to build around Trevor Lawrence. But let's talk about the doubters. Let's talk about the negatives first of all with this. And this is all just criticism from the national media, because a majority of the national media, really excluding maybe guys like Chris Sims, who has now came around on Trevor Lawrence, excluding pre-draft process, and maybe a guy like Nick Wright. Outside of that, I could go on and on, from Richard Sherman, LaShawn McCoy, anybody that really works for NBC, Mike Florio, a handful of people that do not support Trevor Lawrence. They're consistently criticizing him, and they don't really support everything that he has done and accomplished at the NFL at such a young age, and context matters. So let's actually talk about it, because you have guys like LaShawn McCoy and guys who have a big-time platform that say that they don't see the talent, they don't see the production. Guys, we are paying him based off what he has done at Clemson, based off of the expectation of what we expected him to be, which those expectations were placed onto his shoulders fairly or unfairly as a generational prospect. We've seen flashes, we've seen glimpses of it, but let's talk about it more in depth. What has Trevor Lawrence done in the NFL since coming into the league? Well, he does lead the league in turnovers since coming into the league, but I think a lot of context matters. Yes, he needs to work on the fumbles. Yes, sometimes he has silly reads, and those throws in the red zone where he throws a pick, they're bad. We know that they're bad, but nonetheless, there are plenty of times where we see the offensive line has been average to below average, especially in pass protection. We've seen times where Trevor Lawrence has been banged up like he was at the end of last season, and we've seen times where the skill position guys around him are not that great. Not only has he had 2 different head coaches as well, he's also had to deal with a lot of different play callers, as in Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, and whoever the hell was calling the plays in the first year of his career, which we can basically throw that out. But let's go back to Trevor Lawrence's rookie season, 2021. He threw for 3,641 yards, 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. We know the numbers weren't there. We know that's not a true representative indication as to who Trevor Lawrence is in his rookie season. We all know the Urban Meyer fiasco, a 39.1 quarterback rating in his rookie year. Now, fast forward to 2022, when Trevor Lawrence breaks out onto the scene. You got a new head coach in Doug Peterson. You bring in a lot of new pieces via free agency, guys like Zay Jones, guys like Christian Kirk to bring into the offense. You've got a new play caller, a new offensive scheme. It's going to take some time for things to really get working like a well-oiled machine. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are 3-7, and Trevor Lawrence then flips the script. The last 9 games of the 2022 NFL season, Trevor Lawrence was by far one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Over the final 7 games of the 2022 season, Trevor Lawrence had completed 69.7% of his passes, which was number 1. He threw for 1,909 yards, which was number 3. He had a 14-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which was the best in the NFL over that span, and had a 108.2 passer rating, which was number 1 in the NFL among that span. He was up there with the guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes, some of the best names in that company. Then you fast forward to the 2022 postseason, and Trevor Lawrence is down 27-0, leads a comeback, and one of the greatest NFL playoff comebacks in history. Takes the Chiefs all the way down to the wire, the last 3 minutes of the game. Obviously, we all know what occurred. And the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence took the eventual Super Bowl champions down to the wire at Arrowhead in the postseason, and Trevor Lawrence's first taste of the playoffs. And then you fast forward to 2023, and this is where the discourse starts to get nasty for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. When Trevor Lawrence was healthy, the Jaguars were 8-3. When the Jaguars were playing some of their best football, sitting atop of the AFC, and Trevor Lawrence was healthy, the Jaguars were 8-3, and that's when everything started to crash and burn, slowly but surely. Trevor Lawrence was not only playing phenomenal in that Monday Night Football game on primetime versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe he had completed like 70% of his passes, over 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns before going down with that injury, which ultimately derailed the Jaguars season. I'm gonna put the graphic up on the screen so that you guys can see. Look at how glaring it is when Trevor Lawrence, according to the first 12 games of the season, when he was upright and healthy, compared to the last 4 where he started, and the Jaguars did not win any of those 4 games at the end of the season when Trevor Lawrence was banged up. A knee injury, an ankle injury, a concussion, a shoulder sprain, the list goes on. The offensive line was banged up. Trevor Lawrence was banged up. There was no continuity on the offensive line. And, of course, the wide receivers were running wrong routes or dropping passes consistently, even the ones that should be routine catches. So, nonetheless, the Jaguars finished the 2023 season 9-8. The Jaguars missed out on the postseason, and Trevor Lawrence did not have the year 3 leap that many had expected. Trevor Lawrence threw for 4,016 yards, 21 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, completed 65.6% of his passes, and had a 56.1 quarterback rating. It was not the season many had expected, but this is where it gets interesting because the Jaguars are not paying Trevor Lawrence based off past production. You, as a general manager, are not paying quarterbacks based off of past production. You are paying them based on, hey, we've seen what you can do. What can you do for me moving forward? Why would an employer who is hiring you for a position say, hey, I see all of these previous qualifications and previous work history that you have done, but am I gonna offer you this full-time job if I'm not concerned about what you're gonna do for me moving forward? I don't really care about everything you've done in the past for these multiple different companies. What are you going to do for me moving forward? And that's gonna determine the market value at which I am going to pay you. It is the exact same concept. The most important position in all of sports, especially on a football team. When you have a quarterback at a premium who has earned this money, even if you don't think he's earned top $2, he has earned to get paid and get an extension nonetheless. And like I've mentioned earlier, the cap is gonna go up, the salary is gonna go up. Trevor Lawrence's money is going to look significantly better 2-3 years down the road when guys are making $60-65 million getting paid. Guys like Brock Purdy and all of these young ascending quarterbacks, CJ Stroud in a couple of years, the list goes on. So you're paying him right now based off of what he has shown and what he's going to do for you moving forward at 24, 25 years of age. This is a no-brainer. If the Jaguars wanted to be stupid and continue to wait, they could have waited longer. They could have waited another year, another 2 years, and the market value would have gone up. The perfect example of this is with Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens made him wait. They made him play it out. He held out, and guess what? Lamar Jackson got his payday. But if the Ravens would have paid him sooner, they could have gotten him at a much cheaper premium than they would have when they had waited. Same situation with Dak Prescott. Same situation with Josh Allen and the Jaguars. If the Jaguars would have paid Josh Allen last season, his market value would have been significantly cheaper then, but Josh Allen was on a contract year. He went and played his absolute ass off, recorded 17.5 sacks, and the Jaguars locked up their future best defensive player to have ever walked through the turnstiles to wear a Jaguars uniform when it's all said and done in Jacksonville. Both of these guys, both Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, are going to be the greatest offensive and defensive individual players by the end of their tenure in Jacksonville 10 plus years down the road. The Jaguars were smart for getting this deal done. They made sure that they could get him at the perfect market value that is going to age well, and you can restructure the contract and you can renegotiate 3, 4, 5 years down the road when it's actually going to kick into the cap. I am so excited that Trevor Lawrence is here in Jacksonville. He's here to stay, and the Jaguars have found their franchise quarterback moving forward. I could not care less what anybody else says about Trevor Lawrence. I have seen with my own 2 eyes when he is upright and healthy and he has a decent offensive line, he makes everybody else around him look significantly better. Evan Ingram comes to Jacksonville, puts together career-high seasons. Christian Kirk comes to Jacksonville, puts together career-high seasons. Zay Jones, career-high seasons. Jamal Agnew plays the best football of his career. Also, Calvin Ridley comes off of a suspension, still puts together a 1,000-yard season despite all of the inconsistencies with him. Offensive play calling doesn't matter. Trevor Lawrence is that dude. Let's just be completely honest about this. I do not care that Patrick Mahomes, who is undisputably and undoubtedly the best quarterback in all of football, is severely underpaid compared to the market. But let's just be honest about this conversation as well too. The last 2 seasons, forget his rookie season, which we all know was a disaster. The last 2 seasons, 2022 and 2023, Trevor Lawrence is both top 6 in passing yards and in passing touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence is that guy, despite lackluster and inconsistent performances around him and the talent around him, the discrepancies in talent around him. If anything, I can make a case he has overachieved considering the circumstances around him. Play calling, injuries around him, the mediocre to okay talent around him. There are so many factors that go into all of this, and he is not a perfect quarterback, but he is going to continue to produce moving forward. I have said enough. I am so happy that Trevor Lawrence is here to stay. This is our franchise quarterback. I do not care what anybody else says. We have our guy. I know for a damn fact Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now, and he's going to ascend into that top 5 conversation by the end of the season, considering that he stays healthy and the Jaguars stay healthy. This was a team that was number 1 in the AFC last season for a reason. More than midway through the season before injuries derailed them, they are going to continue to get back on a track, and they are going to be better than ever. Trevor Lawrence, I speak for the entire Jaguars community when I say we love you, we embrace you, and we are grateful to have you here in Jacksonville. Jags fans, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you guys make about Trevor Lawrence's extension and specifically the numbers? 5 years, $275 million, $200 million of it in guaranteed money. And really, what do you think about this deal moving forward? How it's going to restructure with the cap, how it compares to everybody else at the market value? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And Jags fans, if you guys appreciate all of the Jags content that I produce here on YouTube, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. But thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.